When Denson and Sherry and I were planning on Friday, we were doing some planning. Sherry is co-chair for this. Denson and I and Sherry are kind of leading the charge so far for our committee, which is focused on vision and culture. So my mind went to William Wilberforce for some reason. William Wilberforce, of course, everybody probably knows, he led the charge to abolish slavery in the British Empire. That happened in the early 1800s. Pretty powerful individual, member of Parliament. What most people don't know is that he didn't do this alone. He was part of a team. He was part of a committed group of believers. They didn't even have a name at the time. Many of them worshipped at the same place, but they were evangelical Christians who got together and formed and worked on all sorts of initiatives. So they brainstormed, they planned, and they took on all sorts of initiatives. For example, Sunday school societies, Bible societies, mission societies, missions to India and Africa, helping the poor, helping the French who were refugees. There were probably 40 or 50 initiatives, incredible, over a period of maybe 30 or 40 years. And they did this as a group of people together, committed Christians who loved one another. They took care of each other. So our committee, of course, is not like that. One guy put it this way. One author said, these people gathered together and plotted good deeds. And I love that. That's why I'm excited about what we're doing here. This particular committee, we'll call it a team, is focused on vision and culture and dreaming. So we'll be doing some brainstorming. The focus is going to be pretty heavily on God-centered approach. In other words, it's not going to be, here's some ideas that we have, we want to initiate and get going. We're asking God, what it is that you're doing in our church and through our church that we can be involved in, and help us to listen. So we'll bathe everything in prayer. So we'll be praying, asking God for what He's doing. The verses that are important to us, we listed Proverbs 29:18. It says that people can't see what God is doing. They stumble all over themselves. But when they attend to what He reveals, they are most blessed. And Proverbs 15 says, without counsel, plans fail, but with many advisors, they succeed. So we're looking for advisors. We're looking for people who have an interest in brainstorming and planning and looking to the future. And we'd love to have you be a part of this team if that's where God leads you.
Well, I'm excited about being on this committee as a participant for two reasons. First, Paul Johnson has an abundance of wisdom to share as our chairman. And secondly, we have Sherry Hartley as our co-chair. Sherry's an entrepreneur who is always open, excited, and looking for ways to make things better. And I'm looking very forward to partaking of Paul and Sherry's wisdom and input, along with those of you who would want to join me as a participant on this committee. So what will we be doing on this committee? We want to revisit our current mission strategy value statement with a group of people from the congregation to hear what you currently think and feel about our church mission strategy and values. We want to dialogue, discuss, and dream with you, and we want to hear how God may speak to you and through you in this process. As we just saw from Proverbs 15:22, without counsel plans fail, but with many advisors they succeed. In any endeavor in life we can believe and know what we ought to do, but fail to go about it in the best way. It's vital that we have input from church members on how we can internalize and articulate our church mission, strategy, and values. As an example, Jackie and I were members of a church in Columbia, South Carolina about 8 years ago. And that church helped me as a congregational member to really be able to grab hold of the church culture and the church's mission. And they had this to say, this was kind of their battle cry, if you will. We are a Jesus-centered family on mission with Him. And God really used that in my life to push me out of the comfort of the church pew and really connect with a coworker that was going through a tough time in his life because his marriage was falling apart. Christ Presbyterian Church in Trussville appears on the culture development slide. They put together a video where members talk candidly and caringly about specific values of their church culture. When Paul and I shared this video with Sherry on Friday when we were having coffee at Starbucks, she had 3 things to say about this video. If I were living in Trussville and I was looking for a church home and I saw this video on the web, I would want to join this church. We also need your input to prepare a culture development pathway for Cross Creek Church and how we can integrate intentional discipleship principles into our church culture. And we need your input to dream and discuss how we can use the church land we purchased before we build, how we might use the Lake Crest building facility creatively, like maybe a Mother's Morning Out program. We don't want us to start a Christian school or plant another church to reach people that we're not currently reaching out. So, if you have an interest in becoming a participant on this Vision Culture Committee, I hope you'll visit with Paul and me after this presentation is complete.